I'm recording on my side. Since everything seems to want to be weird, I'll just have a video on my side that I'm gonna upload to YouTube later, because this is just being the utmost ridiculous and I can't stand it. So I'm just gonna go to doing this, and I'm gonna stream just to Twitch today and then upload a thing, because this is driving me bonkers. So bonkers right now. Okay. Now that I'm just on Twitch, I'm gonna make sure my things are working. Okay, and start talking about charts. Oh lord. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with tomorrow. Really early in the morning. We're probably already feeling this, honestly, because it's like getting closer and closer. So what's happening tomorrow is we are having a Pisces new moon. Astrology wise, this is the last new moon of the astrological year, and then the next full moon is going to be the start of the new astrological year. Hi, Bae. Glad you showed up now, not when I was dealing with all the tech stuff. I swear, today's just trying me. But anyways, so what we're gonna be having tomorrow is a Pisces new moon. Now, to know where this is happening for you, you need to look in your charts to 20 degrees of Pisces, which is going to look like this symbol right here. This is Pisces, and you're gonna want to go down to where 20 degrees is, and this is where this new moon is happening for you. It's gonna have, you know, new starts, because that's what new moons are for. Getting the new starts in, but this is gonna feel a lot different than a lot of new moons, because this is happening in the sign of Pisces, which is the like ending, like the culmination, like everything's coming to an end. We're finishing things up. We're more than likely during this going to be setting intentions for doing new things, but wrapping up a lot of old things so we can start another new year. I know there's been like 50 new years already this year from different things, but this is another one. This is another new start. So if you feel like you haven't gotten your start yet for this year, you feel like you've been like really like just dragging and things haven't really picked up for you, maybe it might pick up more come April when we get that full moon, when we get that eclipse. Well, closer to April, and when everything starts kind of shifting from Pisces energy over into Aries, because we're only going to have a little bit of this. We don't have this yet. We still have Mercury in Pisces today, but tomorrow morning, along with this new moon, it's going to be shifting through the early morning hours. So even though we still have Sun, Moon, Neptune, Saturn, and Pisces, we finally have a little bit of new energy coming in the form of either communication, the way we're thinking, just being able to have a different perspective can be a huge thing that we need right now, because a lot of this energy can feel very heavy. It can feel very emotional, almost like you're drowning under it, and like there's just not really a way out. What this Mercury energy can be doing is showing us a glimmer of a way out. It doesn't necessarily mean if you see that, like drive yourself into the ground and like try to just go after that thing like crazy. Maybe take practical steps towards it, because with this kind of energy, it's easy to do things that are detrimental to your health, because it's like you've been stuck in such whatever kind of old rut you've been in for a while, something that's been hanging around possibly for even a couple of years now, because we're coming into a new like eclipse cycle with Aries and Libra. There could be a thing or multiple things, honestly, that have been hanging around the past couple of years that just haven't been able to like lift off of you. This could be that new start you've been looking for if you've been feeling like things have been dragging for a while now. It's not like just only a couple of weeks. Like, this is like the culmination of a lot. So if it feels very heavy, if it feels like you're drowning, it's kind of normal because it's a lot of Pisces. It's like being yeeted into the ocean is pretty much what this is, and not really having a life raft and having to learn how to swim, which isn't fun. And it can be very scary. It can be like something that can be traumatic for some people depending on where it is in your chart. But this also can be having the energy to finally like step like away from something that you've been really attached to for a long time, like a huge codependency that you have. So this is like letting you have a new way of thinking with that Mercury moving into Aries about a situation that's been plaguing you for a long time. And like I said, just because you see this new thing that you can do with this energy doesn't mean burn yourself out. It doesn't mean like push things to the point that you're making yourself sick, whether that's mentally or physically, emotionally, whatever it is, because Pisces is very heavy emotions. If you feel things are very stuck, this could be trying to show you where it's stuck and where you can actually do the healing you need, whether that's with a professional. Like for some people, this could spark the need to actually go and get the help that they need for certain things, whether that's like a physical like health checkup, or it's actually going to therapy for the first time, or going back to therapy after like a long stint of not going. It could be that kind of energy where you feel like, I want to start this new thing that's good for my mental health, because Pisces energy, 12th house energy, does deal with our subconscious and all of the psychosis that kind of comes from like the deep traumas and things that we keep hidden. So this could be that kind of deep dive energy for some people as well. Now, for everyone, it isn't going to be like this huge like emotional turnover kind of thing, depending on where it is in your chart. It could be you starting a new adventure, like either like meeting new people, or it could be like, you know, new to the dating scene. It could be something where you are actually like finding a mentor, where you're finding a new like set of beliefs, a way you want to like pursue higher learning, travel, things like that. It really depends on where it's falling in your house and like which house it's in, because we know it's going to be in Pisces. We know it's at 20 degrees. So you just need to find it in your chart. And if you need to know where, you can get a free copy of your chart. You just go to astro.com and you can type in your information and get a free chart, just so you can look and see where this is happening for you. There's a lot of different, like, I know that I try to help you guys with like understanding stuff, but I do want you guys to know that there's such a wealth of information out there that honestly, I feel in some ways is very overwhelming because it's a lot. Because the second you feel like you're starting to learn something about astrology, you learn there's a whole branch of it that you didn't even know existed. And then you're like, okay, I really don't know anything at all. And this can feel really daunting. This can feel like you don't really know what you're supposed to be learning. My best advice with that is find what interests you. Because just because a certain branch of astrology exists, like, because there's people that are really into like the astrology of death and like all those kind of dark things, right? There's people that are really more into like the evolution of the soul. There's people that are more into like career and mundane astrology. There's gonna be people that are really into things like astrocartography, like the astrology of like place and location and what's best for you. Like there's tons of interests out there, and you can take a little bit from each one to kind of like figure yourself out. But if something's overwhelming and you're not really that interested in it, don't force yourself to learn something, because I feel that's the trap a lot of people fall in that makes them not want to pursue learning more about astrology, is they hit something that doesn't really interest them and it like creates a wall for them, when there's like a lot of other avenues they can go down. Especially like if you're more science minded, you could do things like medical astrology and things like that, which I find fascinating, honestly. And but you don't necessarily have to adopt every ideology that you learn about. You can just take it and apply it where it counts for you, so you can actually I'm talking about this, and this is very Pisces energy. It's like, take it, adopt it, blend it as you need it, and then like use it to the best of your abilities in your life. Like, Pisces is a very boundaryless. It's kind of like the merging sign, the one that like crosses the lines and everything. But since we have Saturn here in Pisces, there might be like some very like somber energy around this, and it is in a loose conjunction with the new moon. So whatever new thing we're starting, there might be like this serious undertone with it about, even though it's fun, even though it's new, even though we might be feeling like, because this new moon is sextiling Uranus, and then Saturn's also sextiling Jupiter. So like there's this energy of either, how can I put this? It's almost like this growing structure, if that makes sense, because Jupiter in Taurus is all about like Taurus is growing energy. It's like grow things. Jupiter make things bigger, right? So whether that is problems for you or not depends on your chart. But what this is trying to give us with Saturn is it's trying to give us the discipline. It's trying to give us the structure we need, the reinforcement, possibly the authority, possibly a teacher, depending on where it is in your chart, because Saturn can be an authority, like a mentor or a teacher. But it can be having something come into your life, or just you yourself finally adopting certain things, because it could be routines that you're adopting that help you structure your life in a way where you can actually funnel this growth, you know, from Jupiter, so it's not just wasted. Because, you know, if you don't like try to bring it down and like do something with it, it can be wasted. You can be overindulgent, you can waste resources. It's like, this is being able to see. And the thing is, resources isn't always things outside of you. It's not always money, it's not always things like that. A lot of times our resources are our time, it's our health, it's our ability, because this is a lot of Pisces energy. It's our ability to be able to take on the heavy emotions of those we care about, because that could be something that's happening. Even if it's not you, someone you're connected with could be dealing with these heavy things and moving through these heavy cycles. So in a sense, it affects you. And one thing to be careful about with that, because we have Venus squaring, Venus is squaring Uranus over here. It can bring this tension to things not feeling really secure, things feeling really wobbly and shaky in relationships, especially if there's like explosive emotional outbursts, not really knowing if like the ground you're standing on in a relationship is very solid. A lot of that could be coming out at this moon for certain people. If it's not you, you could have loved ones coming to you talking about certain things, because I mean, this could be the end of relationships for some people, so that they could start something new with, you know, what makes them happy, instead of like drudging around things. Because that's what this is really about, even though it's a new moon, and a lot of new moons are like, do the new thing, right? This is more about releasing these things that are keeping us from doing the new thing. And I really feel like once we get to the Aries new moon, not this like coming up eclipse with the full moon, but the following Aries new moon, once we get to the Aries new moon, there'll be a lot more forward push energy, because everything's going to be out of Pisces. There might be a few things in there, but everything's mostly going to be moving more into Aries. We're going to be getting a lot more of this forward push energy, as opposed to like this little taste of Mercury kind of dipping its toe in it, as well as Mercury is going to be retrograding through Aries and doing some things too. So it's like we're going to be revisiting a lot of things. So if you feel like something didn't really get a conclusion right now, there's a really good chance that it's going to be revisited at either the full or the new moon in Aries, with how we're going to have Mercury dancing around up here for a while. So any like topics of conversation and things like that, even short distance travel, like if you had to do like little commutings in town of like important things that might come up again, or car stuff, things like that. But this is really just an energy of be careful, be patient, have compassion, not just for other people but for yourself too, because if you're the one in this rough space, you need to be kind to yourself, because being mean to yourself isn't going to get you out of here any faster. You you just need to identify what it is that you're clinging so hard to that you need to let go of, and then, like, you know, open yourself up to that, because Pisces is more about the surrender, let go of, like, feeling like you have something bigger than you looking out for you. And in doing that with Pisces energy, it's like that's the surrender that a lot of spiritual people talk about, where it's like surrender it to whatever you believe in, you know. It's like they're always talking about like surrender this, that, the other thing. What it's really doing is it's trying to get you to a place where you're comfortable with, you can't control anything else in the situation. That's what surrender is. Like, you literally look at a situation and you know there is no part in it you can really control. You're just kind of either a bystander or just kind of having to go with it. Maybe it's not even your situation. But in doing this, it's allowing you to be able to... Hi! But the whole thing with this, my brain... No, she knocked it worse. She like knocked it into the wall. Sorry about that. She little kitten did some naughty things. So like she usually does. But anyways, with the Pisces energy, if you are the person that's healing through the rough stuff, just be kinder to yourself while you're doing it. Like, give yourself some compassion. If people around you are being kind of erratic, because that could be happening too, which is bringing on these things that you're realizing that you can't really feel security with certain people, trust your intuition on it, because that's literally Pisces intuition. Trust your intuition on it. Allow yourself to go with it. If there are certain things you can do, like that's in like and these are going to be smaller things, these are going to be like daily things that like deal with Virgo. If there's certain things that you can do that are in your control, like say you know, a certain way of eating isn't really helping like your mental with everything, or you know that like you haven't exercised in a few days and like it's really affecting your mental, like if there's things like that you can do, definitely do that. But when I say something's out of your control, it's hello. When I say something is like out of your control, I mean something is like you're just sitting by and watching. Like this could be like sitting by and watching a loved one like suffering through something, or like you're just in a situation where you're dealing with something like bigger than yourself. I don't have join things. I have, is my Kofi link pinned? Is it? Okay, I'm making sure. I've had a lot of technical difficulties starting the stream, so I'm not even on YouTube right now because I just said screw it. But yeah, I have that. There's both live and private readings on there, so you can book like live ones and I'll do live ones, or if you'd rather keep your information, like I don't share private information, but if you'd rather like, you know, have your things talked about in private instead of like for everyone to see, like I understand that. So there's private readings too. It's just, what is it, the word reading through the word reading, it's just reading through each one and seeing what's better for you. But this right here is the new moon that's happening tomorrow morning. So, and the thing is, since this is happening very early Eastern time, for some of us, we might end up sleeping through this, the actual energy itself, but we're probably going to end up feeling things like leading into it tonight, or when we wake up, we'll be dealing with the actual energy of it tomorrow. Yeah, if you go to that website and you pick one, then I'll do you on here. Like, that's where I do all the bookings for readings and stuff. But yeah, so another thing that I want to talk to you guys about with this new moon is that Aries is going to be squaring Uranus. I mean, not Aries, Mars. The ruler, the natural ruler of Mars is Aries, and I just said Aries. Sorry about that. Mars is currently in Aquarius, not Aries, but it's squaring Uranus and Jupiter with where it is currently. So the thing with this that you need to watch out for is, for one, I have a Uranus Mars square in my chart. It does some funky things, okay? Like, it can be funny. Like, Mars square Uranus can have funny, unpredictable things happen, because Mars is like your body action that you do, like the motivation you take towards things, but it's also like the physical action your body takes, and like even the way you walk. It like goes into certain things, right? So like these could be the funny stories of like having those major accidents where a lot of people see it, like walking in the polls where the whole school sees you and things like that. Like there's funny sides to this aspect because it's unpredictable. But there's also more serious depending on where it is in your chart. Mine, it goes into my 6th house, so it creates unpredictable rare health issues. So I have that to deal with on top of the other stuff. But this right here is basically trying to get you guys to realize there might be a feeling during this mood. You might get a wild hair up your butt to try to do something, and you don't know where it's coming from because that's Uranus energy. It's very unpredictable. It's in Taurus, which is fixed energy, which means it's very stubborn. So if you get a random idea, you're going to end up being very stubborn about it in this energy, which isn't the greatest for Uranus. It's like it doesn't like being stuck. It likes being able to rebel anytime it feels like it. It likes being able to have the freedom to change its mind, and it's a lot harder for Taurus energy to change its mind because it's a fixed energy, especially fixed Earth. So having this squaring off against Mars in Aquarius, which Aquarius is, you know, the natal energy, the natural energy of Uranus is Aquarius energy. So it's almost like having this fixed energy squaring off against what you naturally feel works with you. It feels like it goes with your body, but it's going against you at the same time. So it's a very funky energy. So it's almost like you might get an idea to do something, and then you might really run like gung-ho for it for a while, right? And then all of a sudden you just instantly drop it. That's like Uranus Mars energy. It's like an unpredictable lightning bolt that like strikes you with inspiration. You jump in trying to do it, and then you might right in the middle of it lose inspiration for doing it. It's a very strange thing. So with the other thing I want to talk about is Pluto sextile to Mercury. Now, it's also sextiling Neptune because it's kind of close. But the sextile to Mercury is actually beneficial for us because if we're dealing with a lot of like fears and a lot of heavy emotions and a lot of things like having to like leave things that like we've been very dependent on for a long time, having to like try these new things that are very foreign to us, having Pluto here helps us have this sense of control over our minds because Pluto is this control, and having it sextiling this Aries Mercury energy is like this new idea, this new way of thinking that we get. It's like we're getting this push of feeling like we're stepping into like this power we're not really used to. So it can feel weird, but it is something that's really beneficial to us. Like a lot of people probably don't know what having a powerful voice or having their ideas be listened to, like they're powerful things, they don't really have that experience. Like a lot of like normal people don't have that experience. This is kind of almost like a collective feeling of doing that and being able to not be afraid of it because Pluto's giving that like soft push. It's also not doing any like rude kind of like other aspects to anything. So it's nice. It's just adding good right now, which is good. Pluto was doing a lot of stuff for a bit. At least now it's just giving us a little oomph and pushing us, you know, and making us feel like more powerful when we're stepping into doing these new things. Yeah, Mars and Venus is, you know, causing some unpredictable things, but it's unpredictable things we can grow from, and if we learn how to work with it, then oh yeah, we won't see no one sees a Pluto return in their lifetime because it takes well over 200 years to reach its original place of when you were born. So yeah, you might see maybe 4 or 5 sign changes of Pluto if you're lucky in your lifetime, because it's a very slow moving, maybe 6 for some crazy people, but it's like it's one of those things where no one sees it. It's like it's a crazy thing when you see the return, which is what happened in the US, like a Pluto return, because that shows when it began to now. And that's when a lot of falls of a lot of empires happen, like the Roman Empire happened at a Pluto return. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you kind of can see where a lot, because Pluto brings a lot of heavy changes to anywhere you were fighting them in your life, and depending on where you have it natally in your chart, you can like kind of see like, okay, like say if you have it down here, you might see it go up through here in your lifetime. So you're gonna go from like your home being your depth to being like up in 8th house matters and investing in other people. So, or other people investing in you, that intimacy and stuff with people that are outside of your family. So it's like it's like, you know, things like that. You can just kind of look at it like that. Like, because it's not going to shift through more than maybe 5 or 6 signs for you if you're lucky. I've already said, if you want to get it, go to the Kofi and get the thing. But the next, because I think that's pretty much everything I want to say with the new moon. Pretty sure it is. Let me check. But I have the chart for Monday too, because we're going to be having Venus going into Pisces. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this up. Okay. Well, if you want a live one, you do it on that link right there. You just go check it out and see which ones you would want to do. Okay. So this is the chart for Monday. This right here is around like, it's in the evening. So we're going to be feeling the effects of the Pisces new moon into the evening until it's kind of scooted out towards like the end of the night. Now, with what I'm like looking at on this chart is Venus moving into Pisces. Now, the reason this is important for Monday is because Pisces is exalted when it's with Venus. So what we are going to be looking at is now, instead of having like this really detached kind of energy, because that's Aquarius energy, it's the observer, it's being able to be detached and like have a an outlook that's not as colored by emotion, whereas Venus wants emotion, it wants love and all that kind of stuff. So when it goes into Pisces, it's an unconditional love. Now, the reason this is because Pisces is associated with the 12th house. And the 12th house has to do with this more like the energy that isn't really like the human, like humanity's like psyche or whatever. It's more of the deep, like unconditional feelings, which can go either way. It can go the depth either way of being very dark but also being very loving, because it's literally that vat of those very deep, like leftover things from everyone in the zodiac. That's what kind of happens with Pisces, is you're dipping your toes into the ethers when you're touching the 12th house. So what we're going to be dealing with a lot is this energy of having more compassion just naturally, because that's what Venus in Pisces is just having a lot of compassion, having a lot of empathy for people. This could be where people are finally starting to open their eyes to the views of others that have been really, like, how can I put this, just not caring. And for it, from any other way to put it, because it's almost like they didn't see it as they didn't really see it as something that they could connect to. And that's what Pisces energy does, is it connects. So with this Venus moving into Pisces, all that emotion that we felt on Sunday from the new moon, where maybe in some instances with certain relationships, maybe it seemed like the people we were talking to really didn't get us, people really didn't care, people weren't understanding us, it seemed like we were talking a foreign language almost, where it might have seemed that way. Moving into Pisces is giving it this much needed softness, and a lot of things that maybe were way too harsh on the day of the new moon might get softer as we go into Monday afternoon, because we're finally starting to see, like, maybe something we didn't understand before we can be more compassionate towards. This is like in our personal as well as out, like, public. This is like going to be seen in the world probably in some big ways that are much needed right now, like people actually starting to care about things outside of themselves. But the main thing we're going to be seeing in private is that either we're going to be seeing the people that really do have compassion for us, that really do have care and love for us, because they're going to show that and, like, come forward with it, or you're going to be seeing just who does not have the capacity to show that to you, because it's kind of impossible not to see that, because we have now Mercury and the moon, like, inching closer to the North Node in Chiron. The moon is close, it's conjunct. The emotions are going to be kind of touchy, because moon in Aries isn't happy here. It doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like the rage that it naturally feels is just on display through the emotions. So it can be very uncomfortable unless you have a way of getting it out, like exercise or something like that. So it can feel quite uncomfortable. But that's why I'm saying it's going to be really important to have this compassion here. You're going to be able to see who is stuck in being immature and not being able to have, like, adult conversations, and actually has emotional maturity when it comes to your conversations on Monday. Something might have been a little too heavy to handle on Sunday with that new moon, and, like, coming back and talking, the people that have compassion with you on Monday is going to show you they might have just not understood you the day before, or whatever situation you were placed in the day before. It just, no one could see from your perspective then. It just wasn't going to happen. But you can start new internal things yourself that day. It's probably what spearheads you, honestly, to do new things, is because of what you're getting. Now, Mars is still squaring Jupiter and Uranus. It's still throwing a wrench in there, so things are still unpredictable with that. We could still have, like, you know, motivational flare-ups, anger flare-ups, whatever you want to call it. And we could still be very detached from the outcome we create. Now, for some people, this could be very nasty, like, because this is a current energy we're experiencing, like, collectively with a lot of people, because it's slower moving until Mars is, like, not squaring both of them. This could be bringing out a lot of people, like, showing motivations that they have where they're just not emotionally attached, and they're fine because they're getting the gains that they want with the Jupiter and Taurus. It's, like, unexpected, a lot of money, and people getting almost, how can I put this? It's almost like they become detached from what pain they cause people because of the amount of money they're getting. It's like this detachment of not being able to see out and actually, like, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Either that or they just don't want to. And that kind of energy is, like, being brought to the forefront where we can see it more. So if you're dealing with that in your personal life, I'm sorry, because that freaking sucks to be dealing with somebody who's like that. But, like, globally, we're going to be seeing a lot of people wanting to come out and say something, wanting to, like, fight for people that are being pushed down by this kind of energy, because there's a lot of Pluto coming in and saying this isn't the way it's supposed to be going. So, especially like Mercury and Aries here, our words are going to be very quick. Moon here, our anger is going to be quick to ignite. We're going to be next to our like wounds, Chiron. There's going to be a lot of things being brought up here. Now, like I said, Venus moving into Pisces. It doing this can help us because it really does want to be able to give us like a balm, like something that's softer to deal with this. At least like getting through like Mars finally scooting away from squaring Uranus, which is just going to keep throwing a lot of unpredictability, a lot of insecurity and stuff in there. Like, it's just going to feel very like almost, it's not like itchy, it's almost like antsy, to where like you're always moving, you can't quite get comfortable. It's like just having like an undercurrent of that energy. But that's pretty much what I'm seeing, because a lot of the energies from the new moon are going to be like hanging over, except for where there's like some new energies, like I said, that's shifting and kind of giving a little more balm, but also making us a little more touchy at the same time. So the next chart I'm going to look at is Thursday. Now, this is like middle of the day on Thursday, going into the week. Moon's in Taurus now. Moon is happy in Taurus, it's exalted in Taurus, just like Venus in Pisces is exalted and happy in Pisces. So there's this energy of like our emotions are a lot more stable. Maybe, you know, going through the week we were feeling a little like fired up, a little like our wounds were getting touched a lot, needing a little more like compassion from people. But with the moon in Taurus, it's like giving us this stability, especially like it is going to be crossing over through the week. So like a little earlier, maybe even Wednesday night, we're going to be feeling the moon like crossing over Jupiter and Uranus. Going over Jupiter, it should be fine. It'll give us like this feeling of being really stable and feeling really, almost being able to be really calm where we haven't been able to be for a bit. Definitely given us a little more like security when it comes to like trying to figure out who we are and things like that, if you're like really struggling with that right now, which Pisces can do. Pisces is really good at making you feel like you can't figure out who you are and like things are confusing, because that's Neptune energy. It's that confusion and fogginess that kind of gets in the way of you having a clear answer. But having the sextiles with Taurus energy is like giving this feeling of like we can ground some of this foggy stuff. We can make some of the foggy things make sense. At least if any of the heavier emotions we haven't been able to work through, this will be about the time where we're finally feeling like, hey, I'm making some headway here. I'm making some actual progress that's tangible, instead of me feeling like I'm like fritzy and like fired up all the time. It's like it'll start feeling easier as the week goes on. And then we have Saturn. Saturn is still sextiling Jupiter. It's going to sextile the moon too, because the moon is going to be moving through here. Like I said, early Thursday, late Wednesday, is going to be doing that too. So it's like we're going to be having a lot of opportunities to start like stabilizing our emotions that got really like put for a loop come Sunday. Like it's probably building in people right now, because this isn't going to like hit you like and you're not going to know it's there. This is something that's been with you for a while. If it hasn't been with you for a couple months, it's been with you for a couple years, and it's been since like the other eclipse cycle that happened and like flop things around for you, because we're coming into a new eclipse cycle starting at the end of this month, beginning of April. So we're moving into a whole new cycle here, and there's going to be things you've been carrying with you that are being forced to be taken care of right now. If you're not taking care of it, you're just going to be put in a lot of shitty situations. I'm not one to like like doomsday or whatever, and this isn't a doomsday thing, but if you're being stubborn and you're being the person that's being crass and not wanting to be compassionate and not wanting to be understanding and just wanting to push your point of view and like have no adaptability or anything like that in this energy, then you're gonna keep being hit with situations that are like, learn to be flexible, learn to be compassionate, learn to actually show care to people that you actually care about instead of acting like you don't care and you're a stone cold biatch or whatever. It's like there's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna come up and force you to face these same things that either irritate you, make you angry, make you scared, whatever it is. You're gonna keep having these situations come up, and if it's not with people you care about, it's gonna be with strangers, it's gonna be with random situations, because Uranus is in the mix with Mars. It's just throwing things around everywhere and like doing the most. And it's going to keep doing that until it finally gets into Pisces and eases up a little bit. But until then, you're going to keep getting these things. This is what you're going to generate for yourself, is this unpredictable chaos if you're not like actively trying to do better. If you're not trying to learn where maybe mistakes you have made have hurt other people and taking accountability for it, where you're not learning to actually like love yourself as you are and you're putting all these unreachable standards on yourself or other people. There's like a realism with Taurus, like being practical and being able to actually see what, like I said before, what you're learning with this new moon, like what you can control and then what you just have to like let be what it's gonna be. So that's what this is trying to teach you. Like there's certain codependencies where you are the one in control and where you can decide if you want to stop a certain thing, and then you take the action towards that. If you don't, then what's going to happen is you're going to be put in situations that are trying to show you that you need to do this thing. Now the moon towards midday on Thursday is going to be squaring Venus. So some of these things that probably felt a little better Wednesday night are going to get a little tense on Thursday, because the moon like coming into like this square, which we're gonna feel heavier going into Friday because it's gonna go in the Gemini and like make a tighter square. This tension is like almost feeling like in your relationships that your emotions aren't being quite understood, because it's almost like this tension between someone's picking up what you're putting down, but maybe not in the right way, because there's a lot of things that are really like giving help in this situation, giving a lot of understanding, making people want to like be more open-minded, but like your close personal like connections might have more trouble with seeing you as someone who's different, if that makes sense. Like the people closest to you might be like, oh, you haven't really changed at all, but they don't know like all the crap you've been working through by yourself because you just haven't been talking about it, because Pisces energy can be very isolating. So I would just say as as Thursday carries on and goes into Friday and things might feel a little tenser, it might just be better to like give space if you feel like things are getting a little too heavy. But if you're someone that can do well with tension, if you're someone like, because everyone's different, some people actually do really well with getting motivated to fix things when there's tension, as opposed to when things are easy and they just try to fix things to keep things being easy. Some people, they only get really motivated to create change when there's tension. So this could be the time where someone tries to have a tough talk about some way they are feeling with someone they care about. It would be a tough conversation, but it's doable. It's doable, but this would have to be people that have been really working on their their communication, that really take it seriously. I wouldn't say like having a deep emotional conversation like this would be a great date night thing for someone you're just meeting, obviously. But if you've been with someone a while and like you're working through things and you know there's been things going on and you guys know that you can talk about things without someone blowing up and being nasty, like this would be a good like working with the tension kind of day, where it's like working through some tough things that have been like bottled up, like being able to get it out. It might be a little blunt, it might hurt a little bit with Mercury being in Aries, but if you're a strong couple, like this energy is really putting a lot of couples to the test. I don't know how many people have been seeing it lately, but as Pluto's progressing through Aquarius and all these other things are happening, especially like all the squares to Venus and Mars, there's been a lot of things happening with couples, like out in, you know, general public, but also in like celebrity land and all those other places. It's like people are just having a rough time, and if you're not really valuing the commitment and communication right now, which is what Pluto wants you to value, is like that permanent commitment, if you're not in it for the long haul, like forever, it's really going to show you the things that it's like, you sure? It's going to keep showing you things over and over until either you're like, yeah, I'm absolutely sure, I'm so confident in this that nothing can move me, or you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not sure, and it's going to give you enough to make you like leave a situation. Now that also is different for everybody, whatever the situation is, because Pluto is at a new degree depending on what house system you use. If you use whole sign, it's going to be in a different house. If you use Placidus, it might not. I use Placidus, which is this style right here, where things aren't broken into like a whole house, like 30 degrees each house system kind of thing. I just like reading it better this way. But anyways, and with the sun being conjunct Neptune, this is also something, for some people this could just make them personally more daydreamy, but for others it could be learning how to like express yourself in a way that because Neptune has a lot of kindness, it has a lot of like love with it, as well as being very confusing. This could be an easy energy to feel like okay, one thing to be careful of, especially with Taurus energy mixed in with this, I just want to say this: if you're having like a jealous lover spat, like this could easily be like this Neptune moon up here, like someone just seems very naturally flirtatious and they're not actually flirting. So like that kind of thing can happen, like, you know, insecurities, which once again comes all the way back to Chiron and Aries, that insecurity. But just watch out for that kind of stuff. Like if you know, like don't push a button just to see like what kind of reaction you're gonna get, because then you're gonna get lessons about the fact of like abusing people's emotions, which isn't cool. Like I said, this is very this is I mean, real estate, you want to look at the 4th house auto. But yeah. Right now the astro economy is very like emotional with how everything is doing all this up here. We'll be feeling a lot more, how can I put this? We'll be feeling less in our feels and more like, man, I'm ready to like take action and do a whole lot of stuff as this month progresses, and more of this keeps moving out of Pisces and gets into Aries and gets into Taurus. It's like in Aries it's fast movement, and Taurus we're solidifying it and doing stuff with it, so it's gonna feel better as the month goes on. But the first half of this month is gonna feel pretty heavy. It's gonna feel like we're being made to feel all the feels and then revisit the feels and then go through the feels again to make sure we understand the feels and that we have healed the feels. It's like, it's a whole lot of feels. And for people that usually aren't feels people all the time and usually are like a lot more logical, it's gonna be a doozy, because that's the main thing you're being taught, honestly, is, you know, the emotions and like working through them and everything. For people that are at home in this, like some people that are like heavy Pisces, or, you know, might have like other placements that just really sit well with this Pisces energy, like even Scorpio risings too, because it's like in their 5th house, which is the fun house. It's like you're just getting a whole bunch of fun things, get fun ideas, do fun things with people, do dates, romance, all that kind of stuff, you know, the fun things. Like they're one of the risings that are gonna have fun. I would say rising that's probably not gonna have fun with this is probably Aquarius. No, No, probably Aries. I would say Aries wouldn't have a good time because all this crap's happening in their 12th house. Having a bunch of crap happening in your 12th house is not fun. It's a time where you're exploring yourself and feeling very isolated from people. And it's just very heavy. I have thought about making either house series or whatever, but then again, you guys would have to like be at a place where you like know your houses and everything. We gotta work to that, but I can do like house, like rising series or house series, saying like, you know, what degree something's gonna be at and what it's gonna be like in a house and whatever. I can do that too. But anyways, Thursday. Like I said, there can be some doozies thrown in there as, you know, Thursday continues on, but like early Thursday, late Wednesday is gonna feel a lot more comfortable. Aquarius was getting that. Yeah, that's right, Otto. You are an Aries. Well, the thing is, though, Otto, you're at a point being Aries. I don't know what your chart looks like, though. That depending on everything that you have in Aries, if it's not just your sun, because sun is good for business, especially if you're doing like what you call it, like was it a when you, what is the word? when it's like your own business, you, what is that word? My brain, yeah, whatever it is. It's like if you're your own business, whatever that word is. My brain is just funking out. I don't think it's self-employed. There's something else. But anyways, if you're like sole proprietor or whatever, this like sun energy is good for that. It's also good for expression and really like putting yourself out there. But it's also gonna be a little painful because Chiron's up there, because you could be doing the thing, but then you're getting hit with a lot of things that just like really hurt your ego and make you wonder if you're doing the right thing, if you're going in the right direction, because it's right next to the North Node. And like the closer you get to the North Node, the more freaked out you get, because it's like you're doing the thing that you're supposed to do, and it's scary to do the thing, you know, like the main thing, like your main quest, and it's like you're heading, like you're not doing the side quest, you're doing the main quest, and that's freaking scary, especially when you have all these wounds over here next to it. And depending on how public your Aries house is going to depend on how much of your wounds people get to see. Like if it's below the horizon, there's a chance that people aren't really going to see your wounds as much, or even in the 12th house, because it's hidden. Well, it's hidden from you. Other people might see it, but it's definitely hidden from you. But Aries power. But if it's like above the horizon, like if it's like up here instead of like down here below the horizon, if it's up here, you're going to be feeling like everyone's just able to see the crap you're going through. That is almost like your wounds and the things you're going through are on display, either for people that are close to you, for whatever it is. It's like you're gonna just feel like everyone's seeing everything, like it's a show, and you don't want it to be a show because that's your personal private crap and it hurts. So it really depends on where your Aries is in your chart for if people are watching this happen to you, or if it's going to be more of like you're dealing with it on your own, and maybe like very close personal relationships see what's going on, like maybe your family and stuff. Really depends. That's why I say like it's important to like know your chart and stuff, because you can see exactly what houses these kind of things are playing out between. Like, is it happening like between like your lover and like the things you want to do, like you're traveling and like all that kind of like all these houses represent like tons of stuff, like so much stuff. So that's why it's important to know where it is, because it can really narrow down like what's going to be happening. As this is very general. Like I have to give general like energies for everybody. I can't really give like the personal of like this is gonna be hitting you straight in your house. Like I can tell you that the wound is very personal because it's an Aries, and Aries is the self. It's like it's you, so it's like a very personal wound to you and your identity and how you identify. So it's a very like deep wound in that sense. So I can see that without like seeing someone's chart, but you're not going to see like where it's playing out. Like, is it for the public or is it your private life? So yeah, that's Thursday. This is Saturday. Now, Saturday, this once again, around midday on Saturday, things are looking kind of funky. It's kind of funky because even though Mars isn't squaring Jupiter anymore, which will be a sigh of relief, honestly, because that's like a heavy, big thing to be squaring. Like, Jupiter is like our optimism and things, and it can make people just do things being very optimistic and being a little impractical. Okay, maybe a lot impractical because, you know, it's a square. Being very impulsive and over exuberant with certain things, whether it's your time, your energy, your money, whatever it is. It's like your resources just being overly like everywhere with them and not really planning for anything. It's very go to Vegas and lose all your money energy. But the Mars is finally like moving further, so it's not squaring that. So we're not in that kind of like intense feeling of like all or nothing, I can win or lose everything. We still have kind of a tinge of this all or nothing thing, but it's more to do with like putting all of our energy into something unexpectedly or something like really interesting, like grabbing our attention all of a sudden. It's like that's still there and still us being impulsive and like acting on impulsive like things, but it's not going to be like this huge like win big lose big kind of thing with Jupiter. It's just more unpredictable. It's more like causing insecurity if you act too like brashly, but it's not going to be like this overwhelming thing where it feels like your belief system is pushing you to do these very unpredictable things, which is probably happening in the middle of like the week with everybody, which is why you got to be careful. Now the other thing that's happening is Venus is getting closer to Saturn. Now Venus does not really like being close to Saturn because Saturn is all about delaying like gratification, and Venus is all about I want my gratification, so don't like tell me what to do with it and when I can have it. So it's like it's good. They're conflicting energies. They don't really like each other that much. And since Saturn is such a big influence, it's going to stifle Venus. Now, Venus is exalted in Pisces, so what could be happening on the good side is in your relationships, you're finally starting to come to an understanding, especially as this gets closer to conjunction, like being like right on top. It's like you're finally starting to get to this place of understanding where you really need certain boundaries in your relationships, and like they're healthy boundaries. They're boundaries that really build you up in your relationships, and it doesn't need to be just romantic. It can be like familial relationships, it can be your like friendships. There's this thing where you're learning what you need from people in order to actually be fulfilled and feel happy and feel safe and secure. So you're learning to voice these things, and having Jupiter still trining Saturn right here is still giving us that base where we can grow things, where it's like we can stabilize this energy. And as Venus gets closer and you're able to bring these things up, like putting boundaries where you need it, this can also be making healthy limitations for yourself. And when I say this, I don't mean like limit yourself and tell yourself you suck and that you can never accomplish something. That's not healthy, obviously. What I mean by this is like sometimes we have very unrealistic standards of both ourselves as well as people around us. And sometimes we need to be more practical and come back down and look at things from a lens of we are all human. We all make mistakes. And being able to like grow in that sense, but then also make healthy boundaries and healthy like limitations as to like you can have boundaries of what people do to you, but also limitations as to how much you're going to extend yourself, because you know what's good and what's bad for your health. You know what's good and bad for certain relationships. You might also be able to lovingly put up boundaries with people that it's always been a huge struggle with as this gets closer, because one thing you learn as you go through life is when you harbor a lot of hatred and a lot of resentment for people, that stays in your body and it makes you sick. It doesn't do anything to them. Like, they probably don't even know how you feel. But if you're like harboring that in yourself, it makes you sick over time. It creates health conditions. And basically, when you come to a place where it's like you can put a healthy boundary or a healthy limitation when it comes to contact, and if that is no contact with someone, that is a loving boundary. If you know that you cannot, how can I put this? If you know that anything beyond that, their level of where they're at and where they refuse to like heal and grow is just detrimental to you, that's having compassion for yourself. Because some people are not ever going to get to a place, and I'm not being mean saying this, some people are not ever going to get to a place where they can understand you or where they can understand why the things they do hurt you, because they're just incapable of it. And when you can get to a place and you can see that, and you can detach yourself from like your value from the fact that they can't see that, because that's really hard for a lot of people when you care about someone and you attach your value to how like you're perceived by them or how you're treated by them. It's like, this is a whole lot about having boundaries where you have love for yourself while also having love for the person, and knowing that either you're good for each other to this extent or you're not good for each other, so this needs to like be like laid down. You don't need to be mean, you don't need to be nasty. Though I do feel some people could definitely get nasty in this energy and say some very choice words that they regret later. The main reason I say that is Uranus, Mars, like spur of the moment, just throwing out heat for no reason. But also the square between the moon and the sun and Neptune, which the sun is getting closer and closer to Neptune. Like I said, for some people it's going to make them softer, other people it's going to make them completely delulu. Because Pisces energy, the subconscious energy, could be quite, is the energy of delulu. Now for Pisces it could work, it's how they can like get things easier, is just being delulu. It just works for them. That doesn't work for every sign, okay? You can't be a Capricorn and be delulu. It's not going to work for you. You need to be practical. You need to have things, especially if you're heavy Capricorn. Like some Capricorn could have like heavy other stuff that makes them like lean more to the Lulu. But this whole energy right here is like your emotions, this square, this clash, this tension. There's like an emotional body tension that's happening when it comes to like this ego response. Now it could be someone, like I said, being delusional, and it's causing this response where it's like your emotions are telling you, I need a boundary. I need a boundary with this person. They're not going to change. Like, you know, this is that emotional reaction, because our moon is like it's our instincts. It's not going to be the action we take with Mars. It's gonna be like that gut reaction we get, whether it's like something like makes us happy, it makes us feel elated, or it makes us fearful, it makes us angry. Like that like first initial like response, that emotion, that like rawness, is our moon. And the thing is, we do have a trine between the moon and Mars to where we could take action that is aligned with our emotions, that's good for our emotional body on this day. So if this personally does happen for you, where you're dealing with someone who is the Lulu and you're needing to put up boundaries, it'll be rough, because believe me, if they're going to be the Lulu, they're going to be ultra delulu on this day. It's just going to be great. But this is really trying to make you mature emotionally, is what this is doing. It's trying to make you use your words, because the moon's in Gemini. It's trying to make you communicate, say the things you need, and be very succinct about it. Also Gemini is about ultra delulu. But Gemini is also the sign of like wanting to learn, and this is like being open to learn and being open to listening to, as much as talking and communicating. Because what you might realize is whatever situation you're put in, whether it's a person, it could be a situation, it could be work, there is this feeling of like a clash that happens. Now this is on Saturday, it's not going to stay a clash forever. It's like midday, so if you're working Saturday midday, it could be something like that. But the moon is going to move out of this. It's like, you know, not going to stay squaring this for like maybe more than like half a day or a little over that. So it's going to be like Saturday going into Sunday, where we're feeling this heavy thing, where we're dealing with this situation, where we are feeling this tension of having to like put up a boundary that we're uncomfortable with, or it might even be something where like something's put up with us, where, because Saturn, if we're not the one enacting the Saturn energy, we are the ones having it enacted on us, and Saturn is delays. This can show up as delays when dealing with things, especially things that are like close to your heart, because your moon is your heart. There could be like delays in things you want to do, delays in being able to see certain people, delays when it comes to being able to like reach an understanding or even an agreement or something like that. Saturn does bring delays, and it also like brings this feeling of being stuck and almost being how can I put this? It's almost being like not quite like imprisoned, but it's like being stuck in a box. And Uranus does not like being stuck in a box, which is probably where the square could come in once again with Mars and Uranus, where it's just like, no. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. And it's like, that's what you gotta watch out for. Like, we have to have patience in this energy. We can't force things to happen sooner than they're gonna happen. And for a lot of people, that's gonna be infuriating. It's gonna cause a lot of like not like, it's gonna seem emotional, but it's gonna be more just frustrated, angry outbursts where they aren't necessarily like directing it anywhere that's useful, because it's not attached to anything. Like with it in Aquarius, it's almost like you're it's almost like you're yelling at an empty baseball field about a game that happened last week. Is this energy where it's like you're not having emotion like in the event, you're not like part of the event being, it's like you're detached from the event and talking about it. It can even be people just being stuck in the freaking past, like something like the past just keeps coming up over and over again and you're getting freaking tired of it. And it's just like this need to like break out of the box of being stuck in that, which can be useful because tension isn't always a bad thing. Like I said, some people work really well with tension. Some people use tension to create diamonds. So definitely just know that these energies are here. Just know that we're getting closer to an eclipse. And that since we have the new moon happening tomorrow, it's the last new moon we have before the eclipse season starts. So it's building. It's telling us you need to drop things now. Start working at least on dropping things now. Don't be mean about it. It's like there's all these like regulations, and that's Saturn. There's all these rules and all these regulations as to like how we should be doing this exact thing so we can navigate this thing, and that's Saturn. And for those of you having your Saturn returns, which means you have a natal Saturn in Pisces, you're going to be feeling this super freaking heavy because all this stuff is like crossing like crazy over your Saturn, while your Saturn's going to be going back and forth and like giving you at least 3 to 4 times of exact days that crazy things are going to happen to you during your Saturn return. And the reason I say 3 or 4 times is the planet Saturn, it takes about like 2.5 years to get through a sign. But the reason it takes that long is it'll go forward and then it'll stop. And then to us that looks like it's retrograde because it's just kind of pausing, it's taking a rest. But to us it looks like it's going backwards because we're still going. And then like eventually it'll regress in degrees because it's behind us, right? And then we gotta go, it'll start moving again. It's like going through that spot again. So if you have something like in the middle, it'll probably go over it 3 or 4 times. But it's like if you look up the days where Saturn's in the exact degree, you'll be able to see pivotal times of things happening to you, especially if it's on an angle, like going across 1st to 7th house, ascendant to descendant, or it's your midheaven to your IC. like 10th to 4th house, those angle houses, if you have Saturn going like back and forth over that, you can expect a lot of very heavy life changes, because angular houses bring like the huge change to life. It makes it to where if Saturn's doing it, it's creating a whole new life for you, in which there's new rules you're following, in which the old rules will not be able to be used here because none of them apply. And then you're having to unlearn everything you've previously learned, which is why like the first Saturn return you have like between 28 to 30, like you start it and then you go through the process of it. That's why the first Saturn return for a lot of people is like they're having like this crisis where a lot of people like either change directions completely in life, leave like long relationships, leave their family, leave just like all these different things where things change at that pivotal time, and everyone's like, you're not an adult anymore. I mean, not a kid anymore. You're in your 30s or whatever. It's because you go through your Saturn return. You change so much during those couple of years, like the last years of your 20s going into your 30s. And then once you're in your 30s, you're gearing up for your nodal return. The nodal axis, which is this north node energy. There's a south node in Libra too. It's just not on the chart. But you'll be coming up to that happening by the time you're 36. So all these years from 28, 36 and onward, there's like this huge focus on you figuring out who you are. And like that causes a lot of shifts in your life, like a lot. So like I said, depending on where it is, it's where the shifts are going to happen. But that is what I'm seeing for Saturday. Yeah. Yeah, Otto. That's exactly what you need. I love that. But yeah. I mean, you might want to be careful what you wish for, because sometimes Saturn returns do keep you from turning 30. I know mine almost did. It tried its damnedest to keep me from turning 30, and I survived. But it was also because I needed that. I am so stubborn, it's ridiculous, and I will stay in bad situations until it's literally killing me. So yeah, I needed that, sadly, to open my eyes. But not everyone is as stubborn as I am, and not everyone needs an event like that to make them do things that are good for themselves. So I don't want anyone being afraid like, oh crap, that's gonna happen to me. Everyone's stuff is different depending on their chart and where it's happening. Otto, have you ever done your chart? Have you ever gone to like this and like put in your info to see what your stuff looks like? You can do it for free. Like you literally just type in the www.astro.com and then chart selection and like put in like your info, and then boop, you have a chart. But yeah, I am trying to decide, because I'm honestly not feeling the best. I'm kind of thinking of ending here instead of doing like another tarot reading like I did last week, like a community one, because I honestly just don't feel the energy. It's been kind of a rough health week for me. So I probably am gonna just end here and like rest, because I can feel my body not feeling the best right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna end here, and what we're gonna do next week, there's obviously gonna, going through this week is gonna be fun, but coming next week we're gonna be talking about a lot of shifts that are gonna be happening. The sun is gonna be moving into Aries. It's getting close, like as you can see, it's already this close. So when we do next week's, it's going to be moving into Aries, which is yet another energy going into Aries. I'm not sure if Mars is going to hit Pisces by the time when we're doing stuff. We'll see. It might be going in the Pisces also. But we're going to be getting closer and closer to the eclipse. We're going to be talking about those things. And hopefully next week I'm feeling better and we can do more like tarot stuff, doing like viewer readings and doing the like viewer pick a card where they get to decide what we're doing a group reading for. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end here. I love you all very much. My stream deck isn't working. That was one of the things that happened today. There were so many things that just decided they did not want to work today, so but yeah, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Have a great Pisces new moon, the best you can have. But good luck to everyone dealing with all this. Bye.